Let's take action and embrace inner peace. Achieving inner peace is a personal and unique journey. Here are some general approaches that might be helpful. 1. Meditate regularly. Meditation encourages a clear mind and calm spirit, allowing you to disconnect from worldly concerns and focus on your inner self. 2. Maintain physical health. Regular exercise, a healthy diet, and good sleep habits can significantly improve your mental state. 3. Spend time in nature. Whether it's a walk in the park, stargazing, or listening to the ocean, spending time in nature can effectively help you achieve peace. Let's take action and embrace inner peace. You don't have to keep doing that, Silas told her one evening, catching her on his steps with a foil-wrapped plate. I know, Marlowe said, but you look like you could use a hot meal that isn't gas station. Coffee and a granola bar. He smiled at that, a small, private smile, like he was in on some joke she wasn't part of. You're very kind, he said. Kinder than you need to be. She waved it off. In her mind, she had built a whole story around him. A man who'd fallen on hard times, maybe lost a business, maybe lost more than that, and was rebuilding his life one odd repair job at a time. She liked being the kind of person who noticed men like that. It made the long hours at the agency feel less hollow. The Larkspur pitch, meanwhile, consumed her. Holloway and Vance had been chasing the account for 8 months, and the final presentation was scheduled for a Thursday, morning in a glass conference, room on the 40th floor of the Meridian Group headquarters, where Larkspur's leadership team would decide, in one sitting, whether an agency of 43 employees would triple in size or quietly fold within the year. Marlowe rehearsed her deck until she could recite it in her sleep. She practiced answering hostile questions from imaginary board members. She barely slept the week before. The morning of the pitch, she left her townhouse at 6:15, her heels clicking against the pavement, her garment bag slung over one arm. Silas was on his porch sanding down a windowsill, and he looked up as she passed. Big day? He asked. The biggest, she said. Wish me luck. You won't need it, he said. And there was something in his voice, a quiet certainty, and that she didn't have time to examine. The conference room, when she finally stood in it 3 hours later, was colder than she expected. All glass and steel and a long table of Larkspur executives whose faces gave away nothing. Marlowe delivered her pitch with everything she had, the market research, the creative concepts, the 5-year growth projections, and she watched, with a rising dread as the room remained politely, professionally unmoved. Then the door at the back of the room opened, and a man walked in wearing a suit that fit like it had been made for him that morning, his hair combed back, his bearing entirely different from the man she thought she knew. It took her 3 full seconds to understand that she was looking at Silas Thorne. Sorry I'm late, he said to the room, taking the seat at the head of the table. Please continue. I caught the last 10 minutes from the hallway, but I'd like to hear it from the top if you don't mind. Marlowe's mouth had gone dry. The room's senior partner, a silver-haired woman named Adeline Voss, spoke first. Marlowe, I don't believe you've met our founder and managing director, Silas Thorne. The words landed like a physical blow. Founder, managing director. She thought of the Tupperware, the space heater, the clementines, the quiet man on the porch she had decided, all on her own, needed her pity. We've actually met, Silas said, and there was no mockery in it. Only a kind of gentle honesty. Marlowe's been feeding me for 2 weeks. I didn't have the heart to correct her. A ripple of quiet laughter moved through the room. Not unkind, but Marlowe felt her face burn regardless. She started the pitch over from the beginning, her voice steadier than she felt, forcing herself to look at the numbers, instead of the man now watching, her with an expression she couldn't read. She got through it. Somehow she got through all of it. Afterward, in the elevator, she didn't expect him to follow her in, but he did, and the doors closed on the 2 of them in silence, for 3 floors before she finally spoke. You let me feel sorry for you, she said. For 2 weeks. I didn't ask you to, Silas said. You decided that on your own, the same way you decided I needed lasagna and clementines. I never claimed to be anything. I just didn't correct an assumption you seemed to enjoy making. Why do you even live in that house? Why the truck, the toolbox, all of it? He was quiet for a moment, studying the numbers ticking down above the door. My father built Larkspur out of a construction company, he said. He believed a man who forgot how to use his hands forgot something important about himself. I do the work myself because I want to know what it costs, what it takes, before I ever ask someone else to do it for less than it's worth. The bungalow is mine. I've lived there for 3 years. It's quiet and nobody there needs anything from me except apparently dinner. The elevator reached the lobby and neither of them moved right away. I feel like an idiot, Marlowe admitted. You were kind to someone you thought had less than you, Silas said. That's not something to be embarrassed about. Most people in that boardroom back there have never once wondered if the man fixing their gutter had eaten that day. You did. That tells me more about you than any pitch deck could. 2 days later, Holloway and Vance got the account, not because of Silas's fondness for lasagna. Adeline Voss made clear in her call to the agency, but because the creative work had genuinely been the strongest of the 4 firms they'd considered. The truth, small and stubborn, sat there between Marlowe and Silas anyway. She had judged a book by its cover and been wrong about almost everything, except the part that mattered, which was that he was a fundamentally decent man. In the weeks that followed, the porch deliveries didn't stop. If anything, they multiplied, though the balance had shifted. Silas now showed up at her door too, not with tools this time, but with coffee on the mornings he heard her leave early, or with a bag of the clementines she liked, because it turned out he'd been paying closer attention to her than she'd realized. Neither of them called it anything, not yet. But the fence post he'd fixed that first week held strong through every storm that winter, the way some things do when they've been built by someone who never learned to do a job halfway. By spring, Marlowe had stopped assuming anything about him at all, and started simply asking. It was, she found, a much better way to know a person, and an even better way to be known.